US counter ID strategy in Afghanistan was a total failure. We carried out a small consultancy assignment for a client in Afghanistan. The total and precise results cannot be disclosed due to non disclosure agreement, but some conclusions are discussed in my book IED, Drones and Suicide Bombings in Afghanistan. It is a great mystery why the US and NATO decided to take the war to Helmand. A better option would have been to simply defoliate the poppy crops using chemical agents and to concentrate on mining and fencing the Afghanistan Pakistan and Afghan Iran border in Helmand, Kandahar, Nimroz, Farah, Herat provinces, a far cheaper, economical, and cost effective option than building camps in drug mafia area, things like that. Now, in this book, we summarize the non classified parts of our report on the anti IED warfare in Afghanistan. The book is titled IED, Drones and Suicide Bomber Warfare in Afghanistan and Pakistan. As you can see, this was published on the Amazon Books on September 21, 2013. As you can see, the book contains details about the IED warfare and the IED tactics, a possible IED strategy, etc. etc. And this is our company logo, Afghan Toll. As you can see, these are some of the photographs from the book. As you can see, improvised IEDs and all that. Very, very rare photographs. This is the title of the book, IED, Drones and Suicide Bomber Warfare in Afghanistan and Pakistan. As you can see, this is an insurgent involved in the planting of IEDs, photograph from the Afghan government sources, an improvised IED, some of the army women dealing with the IED, etc. This is one of the camouflage IEDs, as you can see. This is in front of the NATO headquarters in Kabul. During the IED survey, a visit to the NATO headquarters in Kabul. The book was dedicated to all foot soldiers and fighters on all sides who fought these wars in vain, and to the ordinary people of Afghanistan and Pakistan who suffered and will suffer. As you can see, Chapter 1 dealt with IEDs in Afghanistan and opposing strategic debate in NATO command and Pakistani military command circles. As you can see, this is the first chapter of the book and then the conclusion. I will briefly summarize the conclusion. While US invasion of Afghanistan was a strategic act which placed the US in a central position from where it could strike a wide variety of objectives, US strategy after 2001 invasion degenerated into a directionless river which peters out into a sandy desert and cannot produce anything useful. As you can see, which cannot produce anything useful, productive or palatable. The US failed in all of the following objectives in Afghanistan. As you can see, number 1, destroy the Afghan Taliban and the various Islamist groups with an extremist agenda, total failure. Dominate the Central Asian republics from where the US was simply kicked out or contained by the Russians despite initial success in Uzbekistan and Kyrgyzstan. Number third, US failure. Make any offensive progress against Iran, where the Iranian Baloch were an ideal strategic asset that the US could have exploited. Number four, arm twist and pressurize Pakistan into not providing sanctuary and logistic support to the Afghan Taliban and other Islamist groups, etc. Number five, this is the number fifth US failure, fence and block the Afghanistan-Pakistan border opposite Pakistan's Balochistan province and interdict Taliban logistics, using which maximum casualties were inflicted on the US troops deployed in Afghanistan. Create alternative states in Afghanistan or Pakistan which could replace existing Pakistani and Afghanistan states as a better and more reliable option. On the Islamist side, the following lessons stand out. Non-state actors cannot win wars, and without support of a major state, which was non-existent in this case, although Pakistan at the covert level supported Afghan Taliban, the very secrecy and discreetness of the support made the impact limited. That is why it took about 21 years for the US to withdraw. IED warfare could discourage a major state actor from waging war but could not win a war in itself. What would follow a US withdrawal from Afghanistan would be a new civil war and greater chaos, which we are seeing now. It's coming up. Hopefully, yes. Suicide bombings are a failed method and of waging low intensity conflict. They are difficult to execute. So these were the conclusions of the book. Lastly, I may add that, as you can see, write a comment. It is possible. The discussion is long, but I just want to quote some of the conclusions. Now, the basic conclusion regarding IEDs remains that the Americans could not find any counter note to the IEDs in Afghanistan, because the IEDs which the insurgents operated in Afghanistan were manually operated through explosive charges, and no jammer or no device on the earth could jam these IEDs. Although the US had overwhelming air superiority, they had extra careful double, triple measures to control the casualties and to limit them. They suffered only 2100 casualties, fatal casualties in 21 years of war. So casualties were very low, but they could not achieve any strategic impact in destroying the insurgents. Same is the situation in the low intensity conflict in Pakistan, in Balochistan and the NWFP, that the state has not been able to find any solution to counter the IEDs. Naturally, if a great power like USA could not find it, how could the Pakistanis find it? And of course, there is a possibility that IEDs may be used with greater effect in the insurgencies going on, possibly in Kashmir, in the Northeast Frontier Agency of India, and in Burma. The possibility is there. But as we analyzed that without the support of a state, even IED warfare is not possible. In US Afghan war, there were state sponsors aiding insurgents. In the Pakistan's Balochistan war and the Fatah war, the insurgency is indigenous, no doubt. There is no doubt that the insurgency in both the areas is indigenous, but definitely many state actors are supporting the insurgents. And in Kashmir also we may see a very dangerous situation where IEDs may be used with greater effect, although at the moment this is not happening. But in insurgency, as they say, you never know what will happen the next minute.